Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Sasuke was actually a girl and she secretly likes Naruto Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto's life was almost perfect at this point. They had won the war. Madara had been defeated. Suki was no longer a criminal ninja and Naruto was very close to achieving his dream of becoming Hokage. Kakashi had chosen him to be his successor. So what was missing? Well, more like who was missing? Suki. She'd gone on a journey of redemption. He'd asked to go with her but she had told him, "You have nothing to do with my sins." Then for God knows what reason, she had flicked his forehead and walked off. That was almost 3 years ago. Hey, Kakashi-sensei. Sakura said you wanted to see me. Naruto heads into the silver-haired Hokage's office. Yes. You might want to sit down for this. Kakashi shakes his head. That bad? Naruto questions. Well, I'm not sure that it's bad so much as unexpected. The 6th Hokage sighs as he looks anywhere, but at Naruto. What's going on? Naruto was starting to get nervous. Well, the good news is Suki is back. She's fine, physically. Emotionally, well, that's another story. He replies. What's wrong with her? Naruto demands to know. The council is forcing her hand. I argued on her behalf, of course, but they are still rather uneasy about the thought of her returning to the village. The fact that she did a lot of good while traveling does help. It's not enough to reassure them that she's not going to become a female Madara later down the line though. Kakashi continues. So what happened? Are they seriously kicking her out of the village? She helped to save the world. Naruto growls. No, they aren't kicking her out. They are giving her an option. They want insurance that if she snaps, someone will be able to stop her. As you are the only person that we know of who can match her in battle, that person would be you. His former sensei sighs. I don't get it. So they want me to babysit her or something? He asks in confusion. I suppose you could look at it that way. They want you to be with her at all times. If she is to get a full pardon and be accepted back into the village, she has to marry. They want her to marry you. As her husband, you would be living with her. You could watch her. They'd feel safer. He states. You're joking, right? The blue-eyed man inquires cautiously. I'm not. They are also rather fearful about the possibility of her restoring her clan. I suppose they figure you two are far more likely to kill each other than to make babies. So that's another factor. He adds as an afterthought. They want me to marry Suki, so she won't have kids. Naruto snarls. That is one of the major factors, yes. Unfortunately, it's out of my hands. You can both refuse, but she won't be allowed back into the village. They will also take her to trial at an international court and likely have her executed. They fear her that much. He frowns at the very thought. So if I don't marry her, they are basically going to try to kill her. The blonde seethes with rage, his eyes bleed red, his teeth take on a menacing sharpness, and the violent chakra of Kurama surrounds him. That's about the size of it, I'm afraid. If it went to trial, I would argue for her and so would many of the people she helped on her journey. There's a chance we could prevent an execution, but she would still be exiled. It's unlikely that other ninja villages would risk taking her in. So her official career as a ninja would be over. He further explains. This isn't right. She's been doing so much better. She helped people. Now they want to kill her or deny her the possibility of having a family. If it wasn't for her, they'd all be dead. Naruto was practically screaming now. I know that. They know that, but yelling isn't going to change anything. Kakashi tells him. Does she know? The future Hokage looks at Kakashi. She knows. The other man nods. And the village is still in one piece. Naruto couldn't believe this. Naruto had a hard time imagining that she had taken the news so well. This was Suki. She had a temper that could literally level mountains. He knew that if he was in her place right now, fur would be flying. Yes. She's been restrained for time being. She's immune to most poisons, but not to chakra blockers. Kakashi explains. They darted her with chakra blockers. Is she okay? Naruto demands to know. Naruto twitches. This was getting worse and worse. Bad enough they threatened her with a choice between her life and freedom, now they were drugging her. What was wrong with these people? She's fine. Well, as much as can be expected given the circumstances. Kakashi replies. I want to see her now. Where is she? The younger man asks. She's at the academy. The kids are already out of school and Iruka wouldn't be there this late in the evening. She's waiting for you. I told her that I was going to let you know about all of this. The council didn't mind her going to the academy since she can't use her chakra right now, and as I said, no one else is there at this hour. The silver-haired man explains. Thanks. Naruto races off towards the academy. Suki sighs at the academy. The brunette had found her old desk and sat down in it. It was funny, after all these years she still remembered exactly where she sat that day. Suki had been minding her own business. Today was supposedly an important day. It was the day their teams would be assigned. The youngest Uchiha didn't particularly care who she was placed with. She just hoped that they didn't slow her down. Her only concern was making Itachi pay for what he had done to their family. That night was always on her mind. She had to get stronger, so she could avenge them all, and her family could finally rest in peace. What are you doing, sitting on the desk? Loser. Suki remembered saying as she saw a blonde sitting on the desk, well, more like crouching. He was looking at her so intensely. He seemed almost angry, but more frustrated than anything. Well, he was glaring at her, so she glared right back. What's so special about you, anyway? Why do they like you? You just ignore everyone, he'd asked her. They're stupid. I'm not. That's why I'm special. Now, get out of my face. She growled at him. That's when someone pumped them together. Their lips connected. It was known as the kissing incident and would later become one of the Academy's greatest WTF moments. They were both in shock. Their eyes had widened to comical levels. Quickly, they broke apart and pretended to gag. Naruto had to race out of the classroom. Most of his male classmates weren't happy that he stole Suki's first kiss. Serves him right. She watched as the other boys chased after him with pleasure. Finally, they were being useful. Though the youngest Uchiha couldn't help but bring her hand to her lips. They still tingled from the kiss. It was a strange feeling, but a good one. She tried to shake it off. It hadn't been a real kiss. Their lips smashed together and their teeth had clashed more than anything. So why did it still feel good afterwards? She couldn't help but laugh at the memory. It had been so long ago, but it would forever be burned into her mind. While she had been furious about the incident back then, it was now one of her few happy memories. You're laughing. After what Kakashi told me, I didn't expect that. You okay? A few minutes later, Naruto cautiously approaches her after opening the door. Naruto was honestly stunned. He'd never actually heard Suki laugh before in a way that wasn't psychotic. It sounded like bells when she was actually happy. She'd always had an amazing voice. It reminded Naruto of Silk. He remembered as a kid purposely trying to piss her off, just to get her to talk more. So maybe he shouldn't be surprised she had a beautiful laugh. I was just remembering something. Did Kakashi tell you everything? She asks cautiously. That the council wants to force you to marry me or they'll try to get you executed after some rigged trial. Yeah, why'd you want to meet at the academy anyway? Naruto asks, trying to lessen the tension in the room. I thought it was fitting. This is where it all began. This is where we met. So I figured it would be a good place for closure. She informs him. Closure. Wait, you don't think that I'm seriously going to let them execute you, do you? She was out of her mind. No, I know you won't let them. You'll try your best to save me. It is what you always do, no matter how stupid it is. But in the end, you'll lose this time. This isn't the battlefield. This is politics. You don't know how this game is played. I do. I might as well pick out my gravestone. She mutters. She smiles grimly. It was what he would do. Naruto was a force of nature. He actually believed in happy endings. The blonde seemed to think he could make everything right just through sheer force of will. And so far, that had largely worked for him. Not this time though. She just wanted him to accept what was going to happen. She had. But she didn't want him to blame himself. Knowing Naruto, that was a very real possibility. Naruto growls. His eyes turn red, the whisker marks on his cheeks grew more jagged, and his teeth sharper. Suki could feel the menacing edge to his chakra now. That had apparently been the wrong thing to say. Naruto, calm down. Suki had the gall to tell him. I don't want to hear you talk like that ever again. Your dying is not something to joke about. He hisses in outrage. Naruto, get off of me or we will both meet our deaths together. She warns him. No, you need to listen. I'm not going to let you run off again, before I've said what I have to say. The blonde thunders at her. Fine. Just say it. Suki relents and turns her head away from him. She was not going to look into those beautiful blue, accusing eyes. This is going to sound really strange, considering everything. Naruto begins. PFT, please. When have we ever been normal? She encourages him to continue in her own unique way. Yeah, while we are on the subject of being normal, I have my new arm. It's a little weird since his skin was darker than mine, but it works the same as my old one. I asked Tsunade to keep your replacement arm, just in case you changed your mind. He trails off. I don't want it. She shakes her head. Why not? I swear it hurts at first, but you've had much worse. It takes some getting used to, but eventually you won't be able to tell the difference. Well, except for coloration. Yeah, it's going to look really weird compared to the rest of your skin tone. You've never really cared about your looks before though. So I don't think that would matter. He reasons. Naruto, you are babbling. What were you going to say? She asks in amusement. You don't have to go through the trial. We could, you know. He says. I'm not sure, but I think you just proposed to me. Suki blinks. Yeah, sorta. I mean, if it's that or risking you dying, I'm going with the marriage option. I mean, they clearly just want us to live together so I can watch you. That's not so bad. It's not like they actually care if we are together. He says. So you are asking for a legal marriage that is essentially nothing more than playing house. Suki was now looking at him like he had grown a second head. Something like that. I mean, if you are okay with it. He tells her. I'm not okay with it. After everything that I put you through, I can't steal that from you. I can't steal your chance at a real marriage. I can handle the trial. If I lose, that's fine. I've made my peace with it. You should too. She answers softly. It's not stealing, if I'm offering. Besides, what if I don't want a real marriage? I want you to live. I'm not losing you after everything that happened because of a bunch of old cowards trying to get you executed on a technicality. You've done so much good since the end of the war. You've more than paid for your crimes. They shouldn't keep punishing you. He murmurs. He'd never understand it. How could she make him want to strangle her and protect her at the same time? Well, he knew. It was because she was Suki. The blonde hadn't seen her in a couple of years, so he takes this chance to drink in the sight of her. Her hair was longer now, reaching well past her shoulders and black as night. Suki's skin was an exotic ivory cream color. Her eyes were darker than coal without the Sharingan and framed elegantly by her long lashes. Even without an arm and knowing that she was just as likely to kill them as look at them, she still had a flock of admirers. Do you realize how messed up we are? I tried to kill you and now you are proposing to me. Me, the person who caused you nothing but pain since you were kid. She points out. Yeah, it is pretty messed up and that is not true. You haven't just caused me pain. Yeah, it hurt when we left. Yes, our fights were vicious. But it wasn't just pain. You're my best friend. He tells her and caresses her cheek soothingly. Despite herself, she felt herself leaning into his touch. Naruto was Naruto. He was always going to try to save her and everyone no matter what. It was just who he was. That was exactly why agreeing to marry him was the most selfish thing she'd ever do. He deserved better than her. Alright, I made my peace with dying, but that doesn't mean I want to. If you are dumb enough to agree to marry me, then who am I to stop you? She says with a smirk. Great. You know I've always wanted to see your district. He adds as an afterthought. Are you ever going to stop that annoying habit of yours in finding a silver lining in everything? She asks in amusement. Nope. Never. He answers her. She smiles. Naruto would always be Naruto. She couldn't help but notice he'd changed a lot in the past couple years. Suki wasn't blind. Those biceps were new and she could feel the muscle in his frame holding her down. His hair was still golden, but now it was growing in a style that resembled the fourth, and his eyes were still his most noticeable feature, like the sky on a sunny summer's day. He had sun-kissed skin. The blonde was just naturally tan, she decided. He was also now, over a head taller than her. That last part was a bit frustrating. Get off of me. We have tell Kakashi the good news. She says sarcastically. Yeah. Hey, Suki, what kind of cake do you like? He questions. That was random. She replies. Well, if we are getting married, there's obviously going to be a cake. It's tradition. The blonde informs her. Naruto, all we need to do is sign the marriage license with our chakra. A ceremony isn't necessary and it'd be awkward. She reasons. What? Oh no. You are not talking your way out of this one. It's probably going to be my only chance to see you in a dress. Besides, I'm next in line to be Hokage. It's kinda a big deal. If we don't invite the other Kages and daimyos to our wedding, they'll feel insulted. He points out. Damn it. I guess you're right. She concedes. Yup. Geez, things would have been so much easier if you had figured that out years ago. He smiles cheerfully. And they'd also be easier if you got your fat ass off of me. She rolls her eyes. I am not fat, he says. You're right. That wasn't fair. You're heavy. Muscle weighs more than fat. You've got at least 30 fucking pounds on me. Now move it. She was tempted to smack him. That's because A, I'm a guy. Guys are heavier than guys usually. B, I'm taller. C, you are tiny. Naruto responds. What did you just call me? Suki says, twitching. Tiny. You are as light as a feather and barely reach my chin. He answers her, enjoying her look of raw fury. Well, this tiny woman can kick your damn ass. She scoffs. Doesn't bother me. Makes that whole carrying you over the threshold thing easier. He teases her, knowing that he was just asking for it now. There is absolutely no way in hell. She informs him, not even bothering to finish that sentence. It's tradition. He laughs. It is stupid. I can walk just fine. The raven-haired woman shrugs. I guess we have the whole bickering like an old married couple thing down, huh? Naruto apparently couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, neither could Suki. Wow. He stares at her. What? She asks suddenly wary. I think that's the second time I've ever heard you laugh. You know it in a not homicidal, I'm going to kill you sort of way. He answers her. Oh, guess you are right. The Uchiha smiles in realization. Do it again. He nods at her. Naruto, I can't laugh on command. Don't be stupid. She scoffs. But I liked it. He says in such an adorable way, that Suki couldn't hide a small smile. If you are lucky, you might hear it again in another decade or so. Suki couldn't resist teasing him either. Oh, that's it. We are practicing the threshold thing. He says and gets up, scooping her up into his arms bridal style. Naruto. Put me down. She growls at him. Nope. I was trying to be nice but you had to be mean. He says. I swear to God, Naruto, if you don't put me down right now, she starts to say and decides to let his imagination finish the threat. You know, this would be about the time having two arms would come in handy, huh? He taunts her. You are such an asshole. She snarls at him and tries to wiggle out of his hold. I learned from the best. Suki, stop struggling. Sheesh, you are like that damn cat we rescued as Jenin. He tells her. Who could blame that cat? That woman was horrible. Suki murmurs. Yeah, that's true. He admits. Suki was determined though. Naruto had to hand it to her. She was stubborn. But he had a couple advantages. The first is he had 2 arms. The second is, he'd always had the edge in raw strength and stamina. Suki was better with chakra control and speed. I'll get the damn arm. I'm not letting you pull something like this again. She murmurs and looks up at him. Good. He grins at this news. Can you put me down now? This is embarrassing. She squirms. Nope. You are still on thin ice for that gravestone and no laughing crack. He informs her. Suki sighs. Naruto was the most stubborn person she'd ever met. Screw it. She lets him carry her to see Kakashi. It was oddly soothing, Suki notes a few minutes later. Naruto had his strong arms wrapped around her tightly, but not too tightly. She felt protected and cared for. The last Uchiha was beginning to remember why she had enjoyed piggyback rides with Itachi as a child. See, it's not so bad, is it? He asks once he realizes that Suki had finally stopped struggling against his hold like a cornered cat. Suki had long ago discovered that Naruto's was like a furnace. He was always so warm. Which was a welcome respite from the unforgiving winter winds that were currently blowing on this cold night. His scent was also reassuring somehow. She never did identify what it was. The brunette had just decided to file it under the category of earthy. It was purely Naruto. It's okay. She murmurs. Naruto shakes his head and walks into Kakashi's office. Kakashi blinks but chuckles when he sees Suki being carried bridal style by Naruto. Well, he supposed that deep down he had always known the two would end up killing each other or screwing like rabbits. It was a pity that Jiraiya was dead. He was certain if they ever actually acknowledged their feelings went deeper than friendship, it would have given the man great material for a new book. With Suki's Sharingan and Naruto's shadow clones, it'd make for an exciting read. I take it that, there's going to be a wedding? He asks. Yeah, definitely the most unconventional marriage proposal ever, but Suki agreed to get the arm. He says cheerfully. Probably because she couldn't get out of your hold without it. Kakashi muses. Exactly. Suki agrees. Do you want the arm before or after the wedding? The silver-haired ninja asks. Definitely before. Naruto's got this dumb idea that he's going to carry me over the threshold. She says. Well, it is tradition. Kakashi replies. Exactly. See. Naruto says smugly. I'm surrounded by idiots. Suki sighs. I don't know why you are protesting. You seem rather comfortable. Kakashi muses. Fireball jutsu. Suki says and blows a fireball at Kakashi. You are going to have your hands full with her. The Hokage says. Yeah, I know. Naruto replies. HMPF. Suki says and tilts her head to the side, not looking at either of them. Well, if you are getting a new arm, that's going to take several months for you to get used to it. So I wouldn't say the wedding would be until June at the earliest. I suppose it does give you plenty of time to plan and try to figure out how not to kill each other. Kakashi observes. Yeah, guess so. Better start packing up my stuff. Naruto mutters. And you are not wearing orange to our wedding. Suki informs him. What's wrong with orange? He asks. Seriously, you have to ask that. Well, at least one good thing will come out of this. You'll have a better wardrobe. She says and smacks her forehead. Kakashi chuckles. Some things never changed. Suki and Naruto were always going to fight like cats and dogs. It didn't matter if it was over something trivial such as fashion choices or something as important as the fate of the Leaf Village, it was just a fact of life. He had no idea how they weren't going to kill each other. One thing was for damn sure though, the Leaf would never be the same. That's it. That's all you are taking. Suki raises an eyebrow as Naruto was pulling along one suitcase into her, well, their district. Yeah, I mean other than clothes, I don't really need anything. I figure you already got furniture, food, and the other important stuff. He shrugs. Oh, that was surprisingly smart of you. She muses. Hey, what's that supposed to mean? He demands. That normally you aren't much of a planner. You tend to rush into everything without thinking, much like this marriage. The last Uchiha smirks. Suddenly, Suki feels herself stopped. Naruto had grabbed her hand. The blonde pulled her close to him and looks at her with a very serious expression. The brunette actually had to look away from those intense blue eyes, staring her down. I did not rush into this without thinking. I thought about it, just not very long. I wasn't going to let them hurt you. He smiles at her sincerely. She bites her lower lip. Suki honestly didn't know how to respond to that. She could tell that he meant it. He was Naruto. The man would do anything to protect his friends, and this apparently included walking down the aisle with her, it seemed. You're right. I shouldn't have said that. She couldn't help but feel a little guilty at her cruelty. Damn it. Her default mechanism was to shove Naruto as far away as possible. If he had any common sense, he would have let her go years ago. She just kept hurting him, but he didn't. No matter what she said or did to him, Naruto seemed to have an endless supply of forgiveness in him. She didn't know how he did it. It's okay. I know you didn't mean it. You are just doing what you have always done. He says. And what's that? She asks cautiously. Try to push everyone away, especially me. I know why you do it. I completely get it. You don't want to get close to someone and lose them, like you did with your family. But you need to get it through your head that I'm not going to let you push me away. So you can be as sarcastic as you want, it's not going to work. I'm not going anywhere. He nods vigorously. That was surprisingly insightful of you. Who are you and what have you done with Naruto? She half laughs. Very funny. He says, twitching. I thought so. Suki smiles smugly. I probably should have checked to make sure that you weren't an imposter when you laughed, twice. Naruto swats her lightly. Alright. I deserved that one. Not bad. Though it took you a while to come up with that one. Suki didn't even bother to trying to dodge the swat. It still counts. He replies. Yes, it does. So, this is our district. Suki informs him once they head inside the Uchiha district. Wow, your family must have been pretty big. This is practically a mini village. Naruto blinks. We had a couple hundred members. She informs him. So which one is your house? The blonde looks around in awe. This one. She leads him to the house in the center of the district, and the only one that looked like a human had been inside it for years. It's nice. Normal. Not what I was expecting, really. He murmurs. What were you expecting? She glares at him. I don't know. I guess a castle, an iron fence, and maybe a moat, with the alligators. Naruto laughs more nervously than Suki would have liked. You've been watching too many horror movies. She scoffs. Maybe. He admits and follows her inside. So you can take whatever room you want. Well, except for Itachi's or my parents' rooms. She adds as an afterthought. Yeah, I think I'll skip those rooms. I mean, your brother was amazing and I'm sure your parents were too, but I don't want to sleep in a room where there might be ghosts. Naruto shivers. You don't actually believe in ghosts, do you? She shakes her head in disbelief. Suki, we've seen people brought back from the dead, talking animals, and we can literally crush mountains. I think ghosts are pretty easy to believe in when you consider all the things we see on a daily basis. He reasons. Well, when you put it like that, maybe you have a point. She shrugs. Clearly the thought of ghosts didn't frighten her in the same way it did the blonde. So 4 bedrooms, 2 of which are guest rooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen, attic, library, den, laundry room, storage room, training room, and a living room. Damn pretty big house, he says. Sometimes our grandparents or cousins would stay over. So we needed the guest rooms. Suki says. What were your grandparents like? He asks. Inseparable. Suki didn't need even a second to answer that question. Oh well, good for them. He says with a smile. My grandmother was very kind. She enjoyed baking with my mother and dressing up for my grandfather. My grandfather enjoyed my grandmother's company and taunting father. She elaborates. Naruto blinks. That was the most he'd ever heard Suki talk about her family, other than Itachi and the massacre ever. He didn't want to interrupt her and risk the brunette closing herself off again. Anyway, you hungry? It'd probably be a good idea for you to eat something other than ramen once a month or so. She mocks him. Hey, ramen is awesome, he protests. I honestly don't know how you stay healthy when all you eat is that cheap garbage. It has no nutritional value whatsoever. The last Uchiha continues. It does so. But yeah, I'm a little hungry. He admits. Why don't you unpack? I'll make us something, she suggests. Wait, you just volunteered to cook for me. Naruto gapes at her. We are going to be married. Most wives cook for their husbands at some point. Besides, I don't trust you not to burn the house down. She saunters off into the kitchen. I resent that. I can cook. He flails. And I'm really Sakura. She calls out. Naruto shakes his head and starts unpacking. Plus he couldn't deny that he was interested to see Suki's house. She was just so private. They said you could tell a lot about a person by their house. He decides to explore. He found Suki's room easily enough. It had the strongest traces of her scent and chakra in it. Naruto blamed Kyuubi, but his sense of smell was a lot more powerful than most people's. So yeah, he knew Suki's scent. It's so clean, he mutters. There was a bed. He'd guess probably a queen-sized one. How fitting, he smirked at that thought. The pillows were white and fluffy. The blankets were a rich navy blue color. Her carpet was red and the walls were gray. He could see a connected bathroom. She had a fairly small closet for a woman her age. Mostly ninja clothes. There was a desk by her bed that had a lamp on it, a large clock, and the only really personal item at all that could see was a large vanity that he was sure had to be at least 100 years old. It was so sterilized. There nothing to give away anything really. He could have been inside anyone's room. It was slightly disturbing. The only thing out of place was a bit of red that was just peeking over the one of the drawers in the dresser. Curious, he decides to see what it was. Whoa, I didn't know she wore stuff like that, he says and quickly shoves the red lacy bra back into the dresser. PFT. You are pathetic. She's going to be your mate and you are blushing like a child over her clothing. He hears Kyuubi mock him. Shut up. It's just, pretend to keep her safe. It's not like we are going to be a real couple. He counters. You chased her all over the 5 nations and you expect me to believe that you have no intentions of seeing her in that. Kurama scoffs. That's right. She's just my friend. The blonde blushes. If that is the case, why is your nose bleeding? Kyuubi taunts him. Meanwhile, Suki finishes preparing dinner. The brunette decides to go and find the idiot. He obviously didn't hear her yelling him to come down. She looks around for him. That's when she noticed her room's door was open. Idiot. He must have gone in her room. Naruto, the food is done. Are you okay? Your nose. She blinks and walks over to him in concern. Oh great. No reason. I just get them at random sometimes. Probably from all the times you've thrown punches at it. He rubs the back of his head sheepishly. Well come on. I doubt you want to eat it cold. Suki rolls her eyes. Yeah, what's for dinner anyway? He follows her curiously. Soup. She answers. Naruto blinks when they get to the kitchen. What Suki called soup, he would have called stew. There was some kind of tender-looking meat in the bowls, gravy, various spices and herbs he couldn't identify, and potatoes inside it. He takes a bite and starts chowing down. Suki could cook. Who knew? Good, at least you are eating something other than ramen for a change. She joins him for dinner. Yeah, so Kyuubi and I were talking about the whole marriage thing. It'd probably be better if at least in public we put on a good show. Really mess with the council members. Plus it'd probably help you to get people to feel more comfortable around you. He offers. I do like the idea of fucking with the council members. She admits. And you need to at least try not to scare the hell out of everyone. He insists. So what did you have in mind to convince the village it's real? She asks. Well, we could do whatever your parents did to show affection in public. He suggests. They weren't really that affectionate in public. The standard handholding and chaste kisses. Well, there was one thing my dad would do, but you are way too innocent for that and it'd be weird. She says. Suki, I traveled with pervy Sage for years. I think whatever it is, I can handle it. Naruto insists. Alright. He'd hold her while they were walking. She says. So, what's so scandalous about that? The blue-eyed man continues. He'd have one of his hands on her ass. Suki finishes and smirks when Naruto chokes on his drink. Ah, Suki, did you really have to tell me that when I was drinking? God, you are sadistic. I swear you do stuff like that on purpose. He says. Yes, I did, and I did it on purpose. She laughs in a way that very clearly asked what he was going to do about it. Oh, that's it. You so deserve this. He lunges at Suki. Naruto, don't you dare. I swear to God, if you do it, I will kick your ass. She warns him. It was too late though. The blonde had already tackled her to the ground. He proceeded to commence with the torture known as tickling. Years ago, he had found out that Suki was extremely ticklish. He wouldn't say she was laughing so much as she would alternate between squealing and growling. Yeah, she was actually capable of making that sound. It surprised Naruto too. That's not fair, she says and tries to escape her tormentor. Neither was making me choke. He counters and continues tickling her. The next day and many destroyed pieces of furniture later, Suki and Naruto go to speak with Tsunade. Naruto was determined to get Suki a new arm. She had been joking when she said she wanted it earlier so that he wouldn't be able to carry her, but Naruto took her literally. She sighed. This was going to hurt a lot. Yes, I can do the transplant. No, I don't think it's a good idea. They are forcing you to marry because they believe that Naruto is the only one who can handle Suki. Erasing her handicap is not going to sit well with them. She informs the pair before her. I know. It's a dumb idea. I was just joking. Suki nods, completely in agreement with the busty blonde for once. Suki. Naruto growls warningly. Naruto, you can't force her to take the arm, if she doesn't want it. Tsunade points out. If I take it, can they do anything about it? Suki sighs, referring to the council. No. They issued their verdict in stark black and white terms. Nowhere did they make your pardon conditional on not replacing your arm. Tsunade observes. I'll do it. Consider it a wedding present, loser. Suki shakes her head. I will. Naruto grins cheekily. Well, best to get started. It's already been in storage for years. That will make this more difficult than if we had done it earlier. It will be more painful. Recovery time will be longer. She warns Suki. That's fine. I doubt getting a new arm will hurt more than losing the old one. She reasons. Oh, you are very wrong about that, but I'll make sure that you are given a rather generous pain prescription. Naruto, I'm afraid you can't come with us. I can't be distracted by your hovering. This surgery is going to take all of my concentration. She warns him as she walks off with Suki to the operating rooms at the hospital. I got it. He nods. While waiting, he sees Hinata. Naruto smiles. He had some time to pass, probably a lot of it judging by what Granny Tsunade said. Hinata was a good friend. So why not spend some of the time talking to her? Hey, Hinata. He smiles at her pleasantly. Naruto, is it true about you and Suki? She asks. Wait, how'd you hear about that so fast? We didn't tell anyone. Naruto couldn't help, but feel rather shocked that Hinata knew. I overheard Kakashi and Tsunade talking about it. I know it's wrong to spy, but, she trails off. Yeah, I get it. You were curious. Yeah, it's true. It was that or they'd put her through some show trial. They'd kill her. He answers. I understand. You've always been the type of person who would do anything to save their friends. It just hurts though. I love you. I would have made you happy. Suki, she's not a bad person, but she's a broken person. Hinata sighs as she looks at Naruto with sympathetic eyes. Hinata. Naruto didn't know what to say. It's okay. I understand. But if she hurts you again, I'm going to lock up every single one of her chakra points. Hinata promises. Noted. Naruto laughs nervously. He hated that he had apparently hurt Hinata. She was nice. She was pretty. She was definitely brave and loyal to her friends. Those were all good things. Really, by almost anyone's standards, she was the perfect woman. He just didn't feel that way about her. He wished he did. She was a good friend. A good friend who happened to be really pretty, but that was it. I hope it works out for both of you. The brunette winces, obviously trying to power through her pain. Thanks, Hinata. That means a lot. Naruto hugs her and Hinata blushes, returning it. Naruto wasn't sure when it happened. But at some point, he must have fallen asleep. Because later on, he was awoken to the sun shining through the windows of the waiting room. Tsunade was walking towards him. Good. You're awake. The surgery is over. It was not pleasant, but the arm is attached. She'll need to change the bandages regularly, and I gave her a lot of pain meds. Tsunade explains. Great. Can I see her? He asks. Yes, you can. She wants to go home. I think she should stay for a few days, but she really hates hospitals. I can't blame her. Most ninjas do. She offers. Well, do you think she's safe to take home? I mean, obviously, it'd be better to keep her here. Would it be dangerous to move her though? He questions. No, it's not dangerous to move her. Make sure to keep those pain meds in handy. She's going to be in a lot of pain for a while. Tsunade warns him. Alright, got it. I'll go see her. He races into Suki's room. Hey. Naruto tries to keep his voice low. Don't hate me. Get me out of here. Suki grumbles. I guess you are okay. You're as bossy as ever. He laughs. I mean it. She warns him. Alright. Tsunade said I could take you home, anyway. He says and scoops her up into his arms. Suki gives him a look like, you have got to be kidding me. Not this again. We said we were going to make it look real. What's realer than bridal style? He smirks. Alright, you have a point. She admits and settles into his hold. He carries her out of the hospital. They were getting a lot of looks. It was to be expected, really. At some point, Suki had buried her face into the crook of his neck. Naruto knew that she was blushing. Her skin was too warm not to be. He sets her gently on the couch when they got home. Naruto knew Suki. She was stubborn. The brunette would never admit to being in pain. So he might as well make the offer. I could rub your arm for you. I know it made mine feel better, stimulates the blood flow. He explains. Okay. She agrees, and that's how Naruto knew she was in a lot of pain. Suki almost never agreed to help. It'd be easier if you laid in my lap. He says. Shockingly, Suki did exactly that. Naruto smiles. He blamed the pain meds. That was why Suki was being, well, less stubborn than usual. He was sure. But he wasn't going to argue. He starts rubbing her arm and telling her about his travels with Jiraiya. 2 out of the 3 Sannin are perverts. The third is an alcoholic with a gambling addiction. Suki muses. Yeah, it seems like if you make it to 30 as a ninja, you are guaranteed to go at least a little insane. Naruto admits and continues the massage. Better Jiraiya than Orochimaru though. She says. You never really told me anything about your time at the Sound, your travels with Team Hawk, or even your more recent journey. He says. I guess if you want to swap traveling stories, the last 2 are the best to start with. She sighs. Naruto seemed to accept that for a while anyway. The blonde was just so happy to have his friend back and eager to share his stories, that he didn't seem to mind that Suki was far more selective in what she'd tell him. The fact she was opening up to him at all was amazing. And then, for some reason she tried to steal my toothbrush, but she grabbed Suigetsu's by mistake. Suki finishes. What did she want with your toothbrush anyway? Naruto looks at her in confusion. I don't know. I don't want to know. Suki answers him. Yeah, I guess some things are better left unsaid. How's your arm feel? He glances over at her new limb in concern. Better. I think it's mostly the pain meds. The rubbing helps. She admits. That's good. You know, I think this is the longest we've ever talked without trying to punch each other. He states. Don't ruin it. She murmurs and yawns, closing her eyes. Suki. He asks. He didn't get any response. She'd actually fell asleep. He smiles and carries her upstairs. Naruto gently sets her down on the bed. He was about to pull away to leave, when he felt her use her good arm to tug him down on the bed. Don't leave, she mumbles in her sleep. I won't, he promises, shocked by her sleep talking and grabbing. Sleeping Suki seemed to believe him, because she relaxes. She curled up against Naruto. The brunette cuddled up to him in such a way that it looked like she was trying to burrow into him. He smiles and wraps his arms around her. Sleeping Suki was a cuddler, it seemed. Oh, he was never going to let her live this down. Suki was in that strange place, halfway between dreams and being awake. She was aware that she was warm. She was comfortable. The brunette just didn't realize it was because she was snuggling Naruto. If she had, her face would have turned as red as one of her beloved tomatoes. Suki woke in the morning, feeling oddly comfortable. She was so warm and her bed felt so firm. She liked a firm bed. As she slowly began to wake up, she realized something was wrong. What the? She mumbles sleepily. Her pillow was moving. Pillows were not supposed to do that. It was subtle, but it was steady. A gradual up and down motion. She cautiously opens her eyes and soon finds out why. Her head was on Naruto's chest. It was his breathing she felt. Now that she thought about it, that did explain the steady thump-thump that had lulled her to sleep the entire night. She had thought that she'd been dreaming, but she hadn't been. That was just the sound of Naruto's heartbeat. Better get out of his arms, before he wakes up. I'll never hear the end of this. She tries to wiggle out of his hold. She frowns. Naruto's embrace was a powerful thing, it seemed. No matter how much she squirmed or tried to move his hands, he wouldn't budge. It was like trying to move a mountain. Despite this, it was never crushing. She wondered about this contradiction, but decides it didn't matter. What mattered now was getting out of his arms, before he woke up. Are you ever going to stop doing that? He looks at her. Damn it all to hell. He was awake. How long had he been awake? Had Naruto been faking being asleep? That might explain his strong hold. Stop doing what? She asks. Trying to run away from me. It's annoying. He teases her using the word that Suki had often used while they were genin. Your chasing is even more so. She taunts him. It wouldn't be annoying, if you didn't run in the first place. But you know, before we go out and commence with Operation Screw with the council, we should probably practice. I mean, it'd be awkward if we weren't used to the whole PDA thing. No one is going to believe it, if we look shocked. Plus there's the fact that you don't know how to be nice and flirt. He adds as an afterthought. Excuse me. She raises an eyebrow. It's not a big deal. You are just used to being chased. I doubt you even know how to flirt because, well, you've never had to. He explains. I know how to flirt. I just choose not to. She scoffs. They have to believe that we are lovers. Naruto continues. And you don't think that I'm capable of faking it? She states. Pretty much, yeah, he answers. That sounds like a challenge. Suki muses. What? No, I didn't mean it as a challenge. I'm just saying. Naruto doesn't get to finish his sentence as Suki had now moved to sit in his lap and wrapped her arms around his neck. I'll prove that I am fully capable of flirting, when I want to. She informs him. Okay. The blue-eyed ninja knew better than to argue with Suki when she had that look in her eye. Oh, that eyelash thing was new. Suki had lowered her lashes and was giving him what Naruto could only call a seductive look. Jiraiya had called this tactic, bedroom eyes. Suki had always had gorgeous eyes and seemed more than willing to use this to her advantage. She leans over. He can feel her breath warm on his ear, her lips brushing against it. The busty brunette was straddling his waist in a rather suggestive fashion. I want you, she murmurs into his ear in a breathless voice. Naruto was speechless. Fuck. Shit. God damn it. He didn't know that he was capable of getting hard that fast. Where the hell had she learned how to do this? Take it back. You are very good at faking it. He tries to adjust their position, so that Suki didn't find out how good she was at pretending. Told you so. She smiles smugly and gets off his lap. Seriously. What is wrong with you? She does that and you do nothing. Any self-respecting male would bend that vixen over that damn coffee table and claim her immediately. Kurama rolls his eyes. She was just pretending. She didn't actually mean it. It's just practice. Naruto tells him. Just practice, my tails. One can't fake such desire. Kyuubi argues, and it was at this point that Naruto cuts the link. But you know, I don't think that approach is really appropriate in public. Naruto says. Probably not. I was mostly proving a point. She shrugs. So we need to work on things like handholding, kisses on the cheek, maybe on the mouth, and holding each other. He says. The kissing on the mouth thing is going to take some practice. You are a horrible kisser. Your teeth practically knocked mine out at the academy. Suki smirks. Hey, that was an accident. That is not how I kiss for real. He protests. That's a challenge, if I ever heard one. Kyuubi says. Be quiet. Naruto barks at him. Considering we are getting married and have to kiss at the wedding, God I hope not. She continues taunting him. Oh that's it. Naruto pins her to the couch. Suki wasn't proud of it, but she let out a startled meep. She hadn't expected him to pounce like a fucking lion or something. She mentally corrected herself, more like a fox. Foxes were good pouncers. She had seen a few animal documentaries when she was a kid and remembered thinking that it was cute. Naruto, she asks uncertainly. I'm going to prove you wrong. He captures her lips with his own. Soft and warm. Her lips were soft and warm. Naruto heard Suki gasp. That was all the opportunity that he needed to deepen the kiss. Suki's kiss tasted like red wine and chocolate, he decided. Wanting more, he decided explore her mouth further, by gliding his tongue across hers and mapping her mouth. He must have shocked the hell out of her because for about 15 seconds, she just laid there stunned. But after a while, he felt her tug on his hair and pull him closer, with her original arm. It looked like she was still pretty ginger about using the other. NHH. He hears her moan into the kiss as Suki returns it. For once, Suki wasn't running away from him. She was actually trying to get closer to him. Even more shocking, she wasn't fighting for control of the kiss. The brunette was clearly allowing him to take the lead, even as her tongue seductively danced against his in a way that made his blood heat up. For some reason, the voluntary submission just excited him more. Oh God, that felt good. Suki's vocabulary had shut down, along with most of her brain. Well, except the part that apparently processed the sensation of touch. Where did he learn to kiss like that? She wondered as she returned it. There was a slightly citrus taste to his kiss and something that she couldn't identify exactly. She just labeled under category of masculine. The way he kissed her made her feel like fire was racing through her veins. It felt painfully good. Her heart skipped a couple beats. Naruto didn't want to. He really didn't want to. But the blonde was not suicidal. If he kept going, Suki was bound to notice his arousal. She'd probably punch him for that. Whoever came up with the phrase, hit like a girl, had clearly never met Suki Uchiha. So, still think I'm a bad kisser? He taunts her. Well, you are better than you were back then. I suppose, kissing you at the wedding won't be so bad. She smirks cockily, Though the fact that she whimpered when he broke the kiss and she was breathless, told Naruto just how seriously to take her lukewarm verbal assessment. He couldn't help but feel a surge of pride that he had left her breathless. Her face was flushed in a lovely rosy color and her lips were slightly swollen. Suki might pretend otherwise, but now Naruto knew that he was a good kisser. He doubted Suki had much more, if any, experience at kissing than he did. But he figured that much like in every other area of life, Suki was hard to impress. So if he could impress her, he must be a damn good kisser. You think you are up for a walk around the village? Maybe go see a wedding planner. It's okay if you aren't. I know your arm has to be hurting you. He suggests. I'm up for it. Just let me get changed. She heads upstairs to get something. Yeah, good idea, Naruto says and races off to change as well. A few minutes later, Naruto and Suki head off into the village. Everywhere they went, people were looking at them. Suki surprised Naruto by taking his hand first. You wanna go to the flower shop first? Ino's the biggest gossip in the village. He leans down and brushes his lips against her ear, to make it look like he was whispering sweet nothings to her. Good idea. Make sure to put on a hell of a show for her. She agrees and walks with him. Hey, Naruto. Ino smiles at him, but she blinks when she sees Suki. Hey, Suki. What brings you guys here? The blonde woman asks. We wanted to look at some flowers. You know every wedding has to have flowers. Naruto beams. Number way. You too? She asks. Suki nods in confirmation. How'd that happen? The other woman asks stunned. Well, Naruto pauses, they hadn't come up with a good bullshit love story yet. Suki though didn't hesitate. He found out that the last Uchiha could be extremely creative when she wanted to be. He was frankly stunned at the story she pulled out of thin air. I realized while I was away from the village, that Naruto never gave up on me. He was never far from my thoughts. I tried to break our bond, but he wouldn't let me. I couldn't let myself. I tried to break it, thinking if I was away long enough on a journey of redemption that the feelings would go away or he would fall in love with someone else by the time I got back. But he waited for me. Suki begins and notes the stars appearing in Ino's eyes. Oh yeah, she was buying this. And then what happened? She giggles. We were training and somehow the heat of battle became something more. We've been keeping it a secret because we didn't know how the village would react, but Kakashi has decided to approve of our relationship and help soothe over any worries that the others might have. So we decided there's no reason to hide our love anymore. Suki smiles at the other woman. Yeah, Suki was a genius. Naruto always knew that of course, but damn. She had just completely made that up in under a minute. Wow. He was probably going to need to get her to write that down and memorize it for future reference. That's so romantic. I'm really happy for you. So what kind of flowers were you interested in? She asks happily. Suki to her credit looks at Naruto. The brunette looks at him as if he was really her lover and she wanted his input on the flowers. Naruto rubs the back of his head sheepishly, like he knew anything about flowers. We were just gonna browse and see what we liked. He offers lamely. Oh sure. Well let me know if you need anything. The blonde ninja nods her head at them energetically. We will. He grins and leans down to whisper something in Suki's ear again. Don't freak out. You said to put on a show. He mutters. I won't freak out. She promises. Alright. Naruto slowly slides his hand down her back and over her ass, grabbing it firmly. Suki somehow manages not to jump. Whatever she had been expecting, it hadn't been that. Damn, Naruto wasn't afraid to go for it either. His touch was confident to put it mildly. It's a good thing you warned me. She whispers to him. Naruto couldn't believe that Suki hadn't chidoried him yet, to be honest. He'd never touched a woman like he was touching her now. He was sorta mourning the fact that Suki had traded in her shorts for pants a few years ago. Yeah, well I didn't want to get chidoried or something. Naruto whispers back. Jiraiya would have said something stupid at this point like, baby got back. Despite his limited experience, he realized that Suki definitely had a nice ass. If she took after her mother, he could understand why Suki's father had been so grabby. Is she looking? Suki murmurs. Oh yeah, her eyes are about to pop out of her head. Naruto assures her. Mission accomplished then. You can take your hand off now. Suki nods at him. What? No, we want to make it look as realistic as possible. So the longer we are seen touching and stuff, he trails off. You're right, Suki admits, though Naruto could see that her cheeks had taken on a slight blush. You mind picking out some flowers? He asks. Roses are traditional. Red, white, and yellow. She answers. Yellow? Didn't see that coming. Naruto mutters. Same color as your hair. Thought it was fitting. Suki replies. Didn't figure you for a romantic. He laughs as he places their order with Ino. I can be, when I want to be. She shrugs. Good choices. How soon do you want them? Ino smiles at the happy couple. Place them on back order. We can't get married until my arm adjusts. Suki frowns at her bandages. Oh, alright. Yeah, sure. No problem. The bubbly blonde giggles. Thank you. Suki smiles at the other ninja as if this was all perfectly normal. You wanna go get some lunch? Naruto glances at Suki. Sure. Suki says and kisses Naruto's cheek. Great. To the ramen shop. He laughs. Some things never change, she says and shakes her head in amusement, following him. Ah, come on. Besides, if we can convince the old man, we can convince anyone. He says. I suppose he does act as a surrogate father for you in some bizarre way. God knows you see him as much as you do Kakashi. Suki muses. Yeah, Naruto agrees. Damn it. I just realized something. Suki shakes her head as they walk into the ramen shop. What's that? The blonde asks. We don't have wedding rings on. Suki answers. Oh, well, we can get them. He says. If you go and buy them after we told Ino that you proposed to me, it's going to look weird. She'll know something is up. We'll have to use my parents' rings. She murmurs. Are you okay with that? I mean, it's not exactly like their marriage. He questions her. I'll have to be. Besides, if it wasn't for you, I'd be dead. I'm sure they won't mind. Give me your hand, she sighs. What for? Naruto looks at her in an utterly baffled way. I'm no Itachi, but my genjutsu is decent enough that it will work till we get home. I doubt anyone is going to suspect that people would actually genjutsu wedding rings. She was apparently tired of waiting because Suki takes Naruto's hand and performs the genjutsu. Whoa, these match the real ones. He looks down at the silver wedding band with a heart carved out of diamond and ruby to look like the Uchiha crest. Exactly. She looks down at her own. It was weird to wear her mother's ring. Even if it was just a jutsu. She would be wearing it soon enough. There was no physical weight on her hand, but the weight of reality definitely was slamming down. She was actually going to do this. Maybe she should try to talk Naruto out of it. He did deserve a real marriage. Naruto, having known Suki since they were like 5, knew when she was brooding. Most people couldn't tell the difference. Her facial expressions rarely changed. But her eyes would darken and lower. Oh yeah, she was brooding. Emergency measures had to be taken to snap her out of it. Don't worry. We have Kakashi on our side and I'm sure they'll understand. We're in love and getting married. They'll be happy for us, once they get used to the idea. He nods at her as suddenly everyone within hearing range was staring at them. Yup. That had snapped her out of it. At first, he saw that she more than a little angry he had pulled that without a warning. But Suki, being a good ninja, was used to having to adapt quickly. She wraps her arms around his neck and leans in to whisper something into his ear. If you ever pull a stunt like that again without warning me, I'm going to strangle you. She warns him, but she kisses his cheek and leans her head into his to make it look like she was seeking reassurance from her lover. I had to. You were brooding. It got you to stop. didn't it? He asks her quietly. I was not brooding. She half growls at him. Yes, yes you were. Come on, let's get some food. Naruto pulls her inside the shop. Hey, old man, can you get me some ramen, a milkshake, and a salad with extra tomatoes for Suki? Oh Suki, what do you want to drink by the way? He asks. I'll just share the milkshake with you. She says. Alright. Yeah, that's it. The blonde laughs happily. Sure. Is it true that the two of you are getting married? The shop owner was openly gaping at them. Suki, ever dramatic and stoic as ever at the same time, just raises her hand. She was showing him her wedding ring and everyone else that happened to be looking, from their table. The old man blinks. Yeah, I mean, it took us a while to realize why she couldn't kill me and I couldn't give up on her, but we finally did. It's love. I think it was mostly because we were so young when everything happened. Naruto grins at everyone. You're still young. The ramen shop owner points out. Yeah, but not 12 or even 15 anymore. He counters. Well, that's true. If you were 15, I don't think Kakashi would allow the wedding to go through. This order's on me. For my best customer and his soon-to-be wife. The civilian smiles at them. Really? You don't have to do that. I can pay. Naruto shakes his head. It's fine. This small of an order isn't going to make me grow broke. He assures him. Alright, if you are sure. Thanks. Naruto goes back to Suki with their food. Suki sticks 2 straws in the milkshake and starts sucking. Naruto blinks. She gives him a look like don't be thick. Just do it. Soon enough they were both drinking from the same milkshake with 2 straws. How's your arm? He asks after a while. I think I could use another pain pill. She admits and Naruto hands her one. Thanks. Suki smiles at him gratefully as she takes it. Did she say how long you had to wear the bandages? The blonde questions. 2 weeks. Optional after that, she answers. That's not so bad, he says. Especially when you take such good care of me. We can play doctor to pass the time. She actually purrs it seductively. There was absolutely no mistaking the sensual lilting of her voice as she suggested playing doctor. Naruto wasn't exactly sure what she meant by playing doctor. But he liked the way she said it. He liked it a lot. It seemed some other patrons had caught it though. He was getting a few thumbs up from some of the men, when they thought Suki wasn't looking. They really should know better. Suki was aware of her surroundings at all times. Thankfully, she seemed to be ignoring it. Likely because that was exactly the type of reaction she was hoping for. After they eat, they head off to see Kakashi. Mission accomplished. They hadn't killed each other yet. It also looked like everyone was buying their act. He couldn't wait to watch the council squirm. Hey, Kakashi. He smiles, once they arrive. Ah Naruto. Suki. Amazing, you are both in one piece. He chuckles. Miracles happen once in a while, Suki says with a shrug. I suppose they do. He agrees. Suki, I had a new Jonin uniform brought in for you. Why don't you go try it on and see if it fits? You've been away for a couple years. So it wouldn't be surprising if it needed adjustments. Kakashi hands it to her. Alright, thanks. She heads off to go try it on. So how is it going really? Kakashi asks. Well, better than expected. We decided to act like it's real just to really with the council. Suki is, well she could have been an actress. Didn't know she was this, creative. Hey, Kakashi, what it means when someone plays doctor. Naruto looks at him innocently. Kakashi almost chokes on his water. Thankfully, he managed not to. He blinks. Then he walks over to Naruto and whispers into the blonde's ear, exactly what that meant. No way. Suki was actually okay with letting them think that we were going to do that. Naruto blinks. Precisely. Well, that's more creative than I expected. I always thought of Suki as a more get-down-to-business sort of girl. I didn't expect a playful side. Naruto, don't look so shocked. You are getting married. People are naturally going to assume that you are acting as husband and wife in more than name. It's not as though her reputation is at risk. The copycat ninja reasons. You always thought of her as a get-down-to-business type. Kakashi, what the hell are you doing thinking about Suki like that? He snarls at him. I mean in the most general sense. She's far too young for me. But I suppose it is a good sign that you are already so possessive and made jealous so easily. He muses. I'm not jealous. He fumes. And Pakun is really a ninja cat. His former teacher laughs. Luckily for Kakashi, Suki came back a few minutes later. It fits. In her new uniform. Much to Naruto's delight. Good. Good. Kakashi states. What did you say to piss off the loser? He looks like he wants to kill you. Suki questions. Oh, I just explained what you meant by playing doctor. The silver-haired man nods sagely. Wait, Naruto, you seriously didn't know what that was? For God's sakes, you traveled with Jiraiya. Suki looks at Naruto incredulously. I mostly tuned it out when he got all pervy. Naruto shrugs defensively. Am I going to have to give the talk to my own husband? She mocks him. Hey, I'm not that clueless. Just because I'm not a pervert like Kakashi, Jiraiya, and I guess you, doesn't mean that I don't know about that stuff. He counters. Did you really just call me a pervert? Suki asks. Well, I'm not the one talking about playing doctor. The blonde glares. If you're that bashful about it, it's a really good thing I didn't mention the potential applications of shadow clones when it comes to, say, X. She shakes her head. I'm so proud of you for embracing your sexuality in such a creative way. Kakashi pats Suki on the back. Kakashi, don't touch me. I'm just mocking Naruto. It's not like we are actually going to do anything. She blushes deeply. Oh yeah, is that why we made out and you let me put my hand on your ass without killing me? Naruto taunts, not at all sure why he felt it necessary to argue that point when it was what they had agreed on. That was practice and to make it look convincing. Her blush only grows darker. Then why are you blushing? Kakashi chuckles as if he was positively delighted by this turn of events. Chidori. Suki lunges at Kakashi, but the man manages to dodge. Oh boy, I hope you have home insurance at this rate. He teases. I do. Suki seethes. You are supposed to say that at the wedding, not now. The copycat ninja informs her. Kakashi, you are so annoying. She states. I wouldn't be a very good teacher if I didn't embarrass my students from time to time. It keeps you on your toes. He nods at her. Right. Well, the loser and I have lots of planning to do, and murdering the Hokage probably would get my pardon revoked. Suki sighs. Yeah, it definitely would. Kakashi agrees. Lots of planning like what? The blonde asks. You're the one that wanted the ceremony. There's the invitation, the cake, the clothes, food, and other things. Suki was obviously in planning mode. Wow, I never thought you were one of those girls that daydreamed about her wedding. The blonde stares at her. I'm not. I'm just practical and I know that weddings just don't happen. She snaps at him, feeling a bit embarrassed. Well, you're right, I guess. Let's get going, he says and leads the angry Uchiha off. Kakashi laughs when he sees Naruto's hand went straight to Suki's ass. The glower she gave him was almost enough to make him choke on his laughter. The council might not realize it, but there was a very good chance the two of them would end up destroying the village in a fight, or if they actually managed to realize their feelings during their honeymoon. Suki had already raised an interesting point of contention with that shadow clone suggestion. It was a few days later. By now, the entire village knew about their engagement. Suki was pretty sure that word of the good news was likely spreading to other villages and even nations by now. Naruto was the hero of the war. It was only natural people would be interested in his love life. Suki, do you have a minute? I need to talk to you. Hinata strides towards her. All right. The last Uchiha walks with the Hyuga heiress towards the nearest training grounds, feeling rather puzzled. Hinata had never spoken to Suki before. She had to give her points for not stuttering though. Whatever was on her mind, Must be important for her to have accomplished this feat. Who was Suki kidding? She knew exactly what, or more accurately WHO, was on the Hyuga's mind. Like everyone else in the village, the raven-haired woman was aware of Hinata's feelings for Naruto long before he had ever known. This was likely going to be very annoying. Still, she did owe her distant relation the courtesy of allowing her to speak her piece. Naruto told me that he was marrying you to save your life, but everyone else thinks it's a love match. She sighs. And what difference does that make? The end result is the same. Suki tries her best not to shrug. It makes every difference. Naruto should marry someone he loves. He deserves to be happy after everything he's been through. After everything you've put him through. Hinata was now screaming at her. It's a bit late to grow a backbone now, isn't it? Suki mentally winces as soon as the words left her mouth. Maybe, but that doesn't change the fact. Don't you care about him at all? Why would you go along with this? I know you don't love him. You never gave a cared about him. You just left him without a second thought. You nearly killed him dozens of times. The other ninja was positively incensed at this point. Hinata, I understand you are in a lot of pain right now. So I'll let what you just said slide this time. But if you ever try to pretend that you have any idea what I feel again, I will kill you. Suki flickers behind the other woman and pressing a kunai to her pretty little neck. That's how you solve everything, isn't it? With violence. What are you going to do when you and Naruto have a fight? Take his other arm, she snarls. Well, look who found her spine. Just think, if you had done it sooner you could have had him. What I do with Naruto is none of your business. Suki sends the blue net flying with a powerful kick to her back. Hinata gets to her feet. Suki recognized that look in her eyes. It was determination. So the cute little bunny wanted to tangle with the hawk. Her funeral. Suki smirks at the thought. I'm going to give you a chance to walk away. Naruto is marrying me of his own free will. Personally, I think he's just as stupid as you do for agreeing to it, but he did. He never meant to hurt you and neither did I, Hinata. That's just the reality of the situation. Suki sighs, preparing herself for a fight, if need be. Naruto loves me. He doesn't love me as a lover, but he loves me as a friend. That's good enough for me. As his friend, I'm not going to let you hurt him again. Hinata charges at her. A bunny wants to run right into the talons of a hawk. Never thought of you as suicidal. She muses. What did you call me? Hinata demands. A bunny. You are cute, quiet, and completely harmless. The last Uchiha taunts her. I'm sure that there is someone out there for you, but Naruto isn't him. So just give it up before things get out of hand. I won't let you hurt him. Not again. Hinata continues rushing towards Suki. It's none of your business. Suki roars and blocks Hinata's attack. Meanwhile, Naruto was at the ramen shop with Gaara. Gaara had come to the leaf as soon as he heard about the engagement. The redhead wanted to know if it was true. He wanted to hear it with his own ears and see it with his own eyes. If his best friend was getting married, he wanted to know about it. Are you and the Uchiha really engaged? Gaara looks at Naruto incredulously as they order their food. Yeah, it's a long story. The blonde sighs. I have time. I didn't travel 3 days to eat a meal and run off. The cage says. Alright. Well, Suki left. I was crushed. She was all that I could think about, but I was 12. I didn't understand why. It never went away. Not when she was at the sound or on her journey of redemption. When she got back, I was so happy. We were training and one thing led to another. At first we kept it a secret. She'd just gotten back and we didn't know how the village would react. But Kakashi decided to vouch for us. So we figured, why keep hiding it? Naruto nods sagely. I know that you didn't come up with that bullshit story on your own. So I have to admit to being impressed by the Uchiha's ability to weave a tale like that. Gaara murmurs so lowly that only Naruto could hear it. What gave it away? The leaf ninja gulps. You admitting that you thought your feelings for her were only friendship because you were too young to know any better. That's accurate, but you lack the self-awareness to realize it. The redhead answers. What are you trying to say? Did you just call me stupid? Naruto twitches. I'd never call you stupid. I'm just saying you aren't terribly introspective. You tend to act on your feelings, without wondering why you have them in the first place. The case cage clarifies. Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. He rubs the back of his head sheepishly. What you and the Uchiha have is love. It's a very twisted love because you are too oblivious to realize what it is, and she's likely in a very deep form of denial, but it is real. You two will end up killing each other, or as the popular saying goes, screwing like rabbits. Actually, the two are not mutually exclusive. It's quite possible that you might do both at the same time. He muses and takes a sip of his tea. Whoa, Gaara, the blonde says. Naruto didn't know what to be more shocked about. The fact that Gaara had said the phrase, screwing like rabbits, or that the redhead thought he was in love with Suki, and vice versa. He didn't even know how to respond to that. And you are still oblivious. When I was fighting her after the Chunin exams, I had her cornered. I would have killed her if you hadn't come in. You fought with your life to protect her even back then. If I am being honest with myself, that is what started to pull me out of the darkness. Realizing that it was possible to care for someone so much, that your own existence's meaning paled compared to theirs continuing. Gaara continues on. I think that's the most I've ever heard you talk in one go. Naruto tries to lighten the mood. I talk when it's necessary. You need to hear it. I'm your friend. You are getting married now. It's important for your happiness and hers that you both face reality, or you will face a lifetime of hurting each other, intentionally or unintentionally. He finishes. You really think that she loves me? I mean like that? Naruto feels rather stunned. I know so. You wouldn't be breathing if she didn't. She wouldn't be breathing if you didn't. You've both had countless opportunities to kill each other, yet you never could manage to finish it. Gaara points out. I think you are reading way too much into this. Wait, did you feel that? The blonde suddenly looks around. The Uchiha's chakra and the other chakra is vaguely familiar. I can't place it though. He muses. That's Hinata's. Are they fighting? Naruto wonders, horrified. It certainly feels like it. We should break it up before the Uchiha kills this Hinata. With that being said, they race off towards the girls. Naruto blinks. He saw Hinata and Suki going at it. Well, Hinata was trying to attack Suki. Suki seemed content to dodge and taunt the other woman. Gaara, you grab Hinata. I'll take Suki. Naruto shoots the redhead a desperate look. Got it. The cage wraps a sandy hand around the Hyuga heiress. Sand. That means Gaara's nearby. Suki instantly braces herself. It's not him you have to worry about. She hears Naruto's voice in her ear and feels his arms wrap around her waist. Hinata, was it? Gaara pulls her to him. Yes. Now let me go. She squirms against his hold. I can't do that. You realize that it was nothing short of suicidal to challenge the Uchiha in such a fashion. He states. I don't care. She's going to hurt him again. She always does. Naruto deserves to be happy. He deserves a real marriage. The brunette wouldn't give up that easily, it seemed. You love him, he murmurs. Yes, but he doesn't love me. I won't let Naruto suffer needlessly though. Not for her. The Hyuga spits out the last word like it was a poison. Your loyalty and concern for him is admirable, but that is not your decision to make. Gaara tells her gently. Loser, let go of me. This is between Hinata and I. Suki growls at Naruto. Look, we both know that Hinata is wicked strong, but it's still not a fair fight. What are you two fighting about anyway? The blonde shakes his head. Suki looks away from him. She wasn't going to answer that. No way in hell. She doubted that Hinata would tell him either. Was it about me? Naruto sighs. Maybe. She admits. I talked to her at the hospital. I thought she understood. Naruto mutters. You talked to her at the hospital. No wonder she's going on like this. You led her on. Suki accuses. I did not. He protests. She thinks that I tricked you into marrying me or something. That I'm just going to hurt you and that's why she's acting stupidly. Suki growls. She's just trying to be a good friend. The blonde says. Oh sure, take her side. Maybe you should be marrying her instead. Suki snarls at him. I'm not taking her side. I'm not taking anyone's side. I just don't want my wife and friend to hate each other. He yells right back at her. And let go of me. You don't get to touch me right now. The last Uchiha was fuming at him now. Naruto, I'm going to escort Hinata back to her family. Gaara calls out softly and releases Hinata, leading her off. Thanks, Gaara. Naruto sighs in relief as he sees that the two of them were leaving. They really didn't need to see this. The fight between him and Suki. That seemed to be what their relationship revolved around. Fighting and a little cuddling, making out. You're an idiot. She's clearly jealous. The Uchiha is doing what any self-respecting demoness would do. She's taking out the competition. That way she knows that you will only be focusing on her and your children. And she will have proven that she is the strongest. Kyuubi informs him. Kyuubi. We are human. That's really not how any of this works. But you really think she's jealous of Hinata? Naruto asks. The instincts are still there. Humans just like to dance around them. It doesn't matter though. I don't think. I know. You better reassure her that she is your choice. Uchihas are known for being rather possessive of their lovers. You should have seen what Madara did to one ninja who tried to seduce his lover. It was vicious. I still have nightmares about it sometimes. Kyuubi confesses. And I told you to stop trying to run away from me. He counters. I'm not running. The second you let go of me, I'm going to kick your ass. Suki hisses. Then why would I let you go? The blonde questions her. Because the longer you hold on to me, the worse your beating is going to get. She answers him as if this was perfectly logical. Suki, seriously calm down. I get that Hinata upset you, but I'm not changing my mind. I'm not taking her side. I chose to marry you and that's that. He assures her. You should though. Suki suddenly goes still in his arms. Why? He asks. She's right. I do keep hurting you. The last Uchiha admits. Well, your elbow and kicks aren't exactly fun, but I'm fine. Naruto smiles at her. You know what I meant. She replies. Yeah, but that's over now. You're home. You aren't leaving again. That's all that matters. So just calm the hell down. Alright. Naruto pleads. What makes you think I'm not going to leave again? Suki demands to know. Because there is no way in hell that I'm letting you leave a third time. I'll chain you to the bed, if I have to. He growls at her. Suki is speechless. Not in that way. He clarifies quickly. I was gonna say, didn't know you were into that. She laughs. I'm not the ex-fiend. Seriously, what the hell do shadow clones have to do with ex? Naruto asks. If you are too stupid to figure it out, I'm not going to tell you. Suki smirks. Well, you are calling me stupid and smirking, so I guess you are back to normal. Let's go home, he says. Hey, Kurama, could you explain the shadow clone thing? He asks. Well, it's quite simple really. A classic you could say, but I don't think you are ready to hear the explanation. Kyuubi smiles smugly. Why does everyone keep saying that? He growls in his mind. Because it is true. Alright, you would make a copies or more of yourself and then you mate with the Uchiha. It is quite a beloved usage of this technique and in the ninja world is a well-known kink. He states. Naruto, you okay? Suki asks, seeing the stunned expression on her future husband's face. His eyes were bulging and his mouth was opened wide enough to catch fish. You're such a pervert. Naruto yells. What are you talking about? She says and raises an eyebrow in such a calm way, that it just flusters Naruto more. Kyuubi told me all about the shadow clone fetish. He flails around helplessly. I didn't realize that the nine tails gave people the talks. Suki laughs as if this entire situation was the funniest thing that she had ever heard. Don't try to change the subject. Naruto gives her a dirty look. I don't have a shadow clone fetish. I'm just saying that I'm surprised you don't. God knows you use that technique enough. She shakes her head. Yeah, you don't. That's why you mentioned it. He says. It's a pretty common kink amongst ninjas. Suki informs him. See, I told you so. Kyuubi smirks smugly. Still, it's weird to hear you talk about stuff like that. The blonde says. Alright, so I just won't talk about it anymore. You are the one who brought it up. She saunters off ahead of him, heading back home. Meanwhile, with Gaara and Hinata, the redhead takes her home. He felt bad for the blue beauty. She was clearly hurting. He felt he should try to offer her some sort of comfort. He didn't really know how though. He's lucky to have someone like you who cares about him so much. He offers. Thank you. Naruto attracts so many loyal people to him. I just want him to be happy. She mumbles. I understand. I hope you find happiness as well. You deserve it. He tells her. Thank you. That was nice of you to say. She offers him a smile. No thanks is necessary. It's true. He replies and heads off, trying unsuccessfully to get the imagine of her beautiful smile out of his head. Warning shower scene. Later that night, Suki was restless. She needed to clear her head. Hinata had rattled her cage, more than she ever wanted to admit. The last Uchiha thought maybe a nice shower might relax her. That's better. She murmurs once she strips and enjoys the feeling of the warm water soothing away all her troubles, if only for a few moments. She probably should have shut the door behind her. But Suki had lived alone so long, she didn't even think about things like shutting bathroom doors in her house. Naruto, well, he was Naruto. An open door meant it was available. So yeah, Naruto got an eyeful. He'd never actually seen Suki before. Kakashi was pretty good at keeping his female genin separated from Naruto when it came to things like bathing. It was all very proper. The blonde definitely hadn't seen her like this as an adult before. Wow, he suddenly understood why she still had so many admirers. She sighs softly in pleasure at the feeling of her troubles washing away, completely unaware she had an audience for now. His eyes widen. Her raven black hair was wet now and had lost its usual spiky texture, framing her ivory cream skin stunningly. Her eyes were closed, which was probably a good thing. If she found out he saw her, he'd die. But it would be so worth it. He felt himself blushing as he looked lower. The blonde was relieved that her silky smooth elegant neck was no longer blemished by Orochimaru's curse mark. Still, his sapphire orbs couldn't help sliding even lower. It was only human nature, after all. Her were stunning. They were large and firm. He was surprised that her nipples were a tantalizing rosy pink color. Pink was definitely not a color he associated with the stoic ninja. Didn't see that coming. He murmurs, and suddenly he totally understood Jiraiya's obsession with bathhouses as his eyes continued traveling south. The only thing that might have detracted from her beauty was her arm. Well, it was still covered in bandages. Tsunade had made sure that they were waterproof. The sight of her in bandages just made him feel protective though. Her stomach was toned, he hadn't expected anything else really. Suki had wide hips, he didn't know why that excited him, but it did. They fanned out into perfectly shaped ass. He had felt that earlier, while they were walking. But placing his hand on it, while it was covered, and seeing it uncovered were two completely different things according to his lower half. I should probably go, before she catches me. He mumbles to himself, but he couldn't look away. He dared himself to glance lower. He'd never actually seen a woman up close before. Jiraiya had usually gone into the bathhouses alone, and while he had the sexy jutsu, it wasn't like he spent much time looking at herself in that form. She had long legs, considering Suki was average in height, and that was being fairly generous. They seemed to go on forever and were so shapely. Her thighs were powerful looking. He wasn't sure where his brain drew that conclusion from, but he decided to roll with it. You are truly pathetic. She's your mate and you act as though you should feel guilty for looking at her. Kyuubi mocks him. Shut up. I should. I mean, she didn't give me permission to look. he says. She agreed to marry you. I'd say that counts as permission. Kyuubi counters. Despite his bickering with Kyuubi, his problem definitely wasn't going away. He should probably head to the other bathroom and take a cold shower. An ice-cold shower. We are talking like snow country in the dead of winter, level of cold. Yeah, that might help. Is someone there? Suki calls out, suddenly feeling like she was being watched. End of shower scene. What you and the Uchiha have is love. It's a very twisted love because you are too oblivious to realize what it is, and she's likely in a very deep form of denial, but it is real. You two will end up killing each other, or as the popular saying goes, screwing like rabbits. Actually, the two are not mutually exclusive. It's quite possible that you might do both at the same time. Naruto winces as Gaara's words rang in his ears. He tried to rationalize his friend's words away. It was normal to be attracted physically to a beautiful woman. He'd always known that she was beautiful, even when they were kids. But he didn't think about it much. It was just a fact of life. It was like looking at the moon. Yeah, it's pretty and all, but you didn't actually expect to touch it. Just because he found her attractive, didn't mean he was in love with her. A rather tortuous hour later, Naruto's problem was solved for the time being. It took that long because said problem kept coming back. Finally, his body had decided to calm down though. He quickly dries off and dresses. He was surprised when he went to his room and saw Suki there. Her hair had partially air dried. She'd thrown on a bathrobe. Oh, for God's sakes. Now that he knew what was underneath that thing, his mind wouldn't shut off the mental images of her in the shower. His problem was back. Suki. He asks. I'm probably being silly, but she trails off. But what? He questions her. I felt like someone was in the house. I didn't see anyone, but I still can't shake the feeling that I was being watched. She shakes her head. Oh. He inwardly winced, feeling guilty. While I was in the shower. She continues. You've had a stressful couple of weeks. You are probably just imagining it. Naruto feels even more guilty about lying. Maybe. It wouldn't be the first time though. She mutters. Wouldn't be the first time what? He inquires. That someone tried to watch me while I was showering or bathing. She says with a shrug. Wait. What do you mean? He demands. The sound was full of a lot of people who were just as bad as Jiraiya. She says offhandedly, as if she was discussing unpleasant weather. Wait, what? Someone, no more than one person, was trying to spy on you while you were showering in the sound? He asks, suddenly feeling very angry. Suki realizes that might not have been the smartest thing to say. She had felt vulnerable for a few minutes. So, like she had done as a child, she'd gone into the room of the nearest person who she knew would care that she was upset. Of course, this was Naruto. This wasn't Itachi. And this was about someone possibly being a voyeur and not a scary thunderstorm. So the situation was different, yet similar at the same time. Don't worry about it. It's in the past. I'm more worried about now. Someone might be in the house. She tells him. No, I wanna know. He growls, and Suki was a bit alarmed to see his teeth were lengthening, fingernails were becoming claws, his eyes taking on a more animal appearance, and that trademark nine-tails chakra. Mostly they tried to look. A few tried to touch. It didn't end well for them. She smirks, obviously trying to soothe his ire. Well, if anyone tries that again, let me know. I'll tear them apart. He promises, and Suki shivers. She wasn't afraid of Naruto. Suki would never be afraid of him. It wasn't that she was concerned for some random pervert that might face Naruto's wrath. They deserved what they got. It was the dark possession in his voice. It excited her. Idly, Suki realized how messed up that was, but there wasn't anything she could do about it at the moment. So she shoves that thought to the back of her mind. I'll be sure to let you know. She agrees. Good. If it will make you feel better, you can stay with me. He offers. It would. Just to be on the safe side. I'm not entirely certain the council wouldn't try to have me assassinated in my sleep. She admits. I'd never let that happen. He tells her. I know. She says. Good. He says and hops into the bed with her, turning off the lights. She agrees. Suki waited until she thought Naruto was asleep. Then she grabbed his arms and wrapped them around her. She felt safer this way. Protected. The brunette would never admit this to him though. But while he was asleep, she could indulge her inner child, that just wanted someone to chase away the monsters. Even if those monsters were only perverts trying to get their rocks off or just the result of her being overly paranoid. Naruto was good at chasing away the monsters, she decided as she drifted off into a peaceful sleep. Naruto had forgotten. It had been a long time since he'd been on a mission with Suki with Team 7. Still, he should have remembered that Suki always volunteered to take the first watch. Suki Uchiha was a night owl. It made sense really. She was definitely a creature of the night. Her dark hair, her moonlight-colored skin, the way she could move with absolute silence, really everything about her reminded him of the dark. I'll let her sleep in. He murmurs and gets out of the bed, starting to change into his Jonin uniform. So it shouldn't have surprised him that he woke up before her. Like nearly every other facet of their lives, they were polar opposites. He couldn't help but smile at how peaceful she looked. Yeah, it would have been wrong to wake her. Suki had been comfortable, but then her pillow moved away from her and suddenly she felt colder than before. How dare her pillow leave her? Wait, pillows couldn't just get up and walk away. Her eyes flutter open. Oh, she murmurs under her breath. Looked like Naruto remembered she liked to sleep in when given the option. He was in the middle of changing his clothes. Thankfully, his back was towards her. So Suki didn't see everything, but she saw enough to send her imagination into overdrive. She'd seen him shirtless before. That was just a given. Male ninjas tended to discard their shirts rather quickly or they got torn easily during training and battles. That was back when they were genin though. His back was muscular and his shoulders were broad. She couldn't see his front, but she imagined judging by the biceps and obvious power that she could see from behind that he likely was sporting some equally impressive abs. Naruto's tan was thorough, she noted, very thorough, stretching all the way from his face to his powerful legs. Hell, even his backside was sun-kissed. Did he sunbathe? Suki decided he had to for the tan to be that consistent. Nice ass, Uzumaki. Suki smacks said posterior with a pillow. She really didn't know what came over her. It was a very nice ass though. Exceptionally firm, really. Still, she definitely shouldn't have done that. Now he knew that she had been looking. Naruto was never going to let her live this one down. Thanks, yours isn't so bad either. He pins her to the bed playfully. Who are you and what have you done with Naruto? That should have made you blush and act like an idiot. It's no fun if you don't freak out. Suki could only hope that she sounded more confident than she felt. In reality, Suki was one flustered Uchiha. She could feel the heat from his body, as he held her down. Naruto seemed to be enjoying her being flustered, because he smirks. She'd never seen him look that way before. There was something predatory about it. It made her shiver, but in a good way. That's better. Now claim her. You know you that you want to. You should have done it last night, but now will suffice. She clearly wants you to or she wouldn't have made that signal. Kyuubi goads him. She was just playing around. It's not like her smacking my ass with a pillow is Suki's for jump me. Naruto growls in annoyance. You're hopeless. Absolutely hopeless. A real demon would have claimed her. Kyuubi shakes his head and heads back to his corner of Naruto's mind, silent for now. You're blushing. It's fun when you freak out. He mocks her. I'm not blushing. She protests. Yes, you are. Naruto was never going to let her live this down. They'd both been too caught up in each other to sense Kakashi's chakra. Kakashi hadn't been the Uchiha district since long before the massacre. He'd gone there a few times to pick up Obito for training. It was strange now, seeing it so empty. It didn't take him long to figure out which house was Suki's. It was the only one with the lights on. He knocked. No answer. Well, the door wasn't locked, so he let himself in. Naruto. Suki. Kakashi frowns when he didn't get an answer. The silver-haired ninja would be lying if he said that he wasn't worried. So naturally, Kakashi searches the entire house. Eventually, he winds up where the bedrooms were located. Unfortunately, he had been too worried to bother knocking. Well, I see that you two are getting along better than I expected. Sorry to interrupt. Kakashi smiles mischievously. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto flails and Suki blushes red as a tomato. No, it's fine. You are both adults and I can hardly lecture you. You are engaged. He chuckles. This is not what it looks like. Suki growls. You mean that Naruto isn't on top of you, and you weren't blushing? The Hokage asks in amusement. Well, yeah, that part is true. But we weren't, she trails off. Restoring the Uchiha clan together. He offers helpfully. Exactly, she says. Well, of course not. That was more like foreplay. Still, I am sorry I interrupted. I knocked but no one answered. I can see you were distracted. He chuckles. Kakashi. Stop being a damn pervert. Naruto scowls. Says the man with his blushing bride pinned underneath him while he's. Well, almost bride. I can come back later if you need some alone time. I'm sure Sakura will understand. He adds. What does this have to do with Sakura? Suki raises an eyebrow and ignores the obvious innuendo for now. Well, you are scheduled to have your arm looked at. Your appointment was an hour ago. That's why I came to get you. Sakura was worried. You've never been late before. He explains. Oh, I completely forgot. I'll be there in a few minutes. Suki says and wiggles out from underneath Naruto. Great. Naruto, Gaara asked me to see if you would be interested in joining him for lunch. Kakashi adds. Oh yeah, that sounds great. Kakashi, would you freaking turn around so I can get dressed? He snaps at him. I'll just go wait in the kitchen. He says and walks out of the room. Suki clearly had already gotten to her room. She shut the door behind her. Naruto mentally pouts at this. It meant he wasn't going to get another view of her again. Then he slaps himself. She was his friend. He shouldn't be staring at her like some sort of pervert. Hey, Naruto, I'm gonna head to the hospital to have my arm looked at. I heard Kakashi about Gaara. So I'll just see you later. Suki shouts through the door. Yeah, sounds good. Let me know what she says. He hollers back. I will. Suki says and she walks off with Kakashi. So I take it things are going well. Kakashi states slyly as they head to the hospital. Better than expected. She answers evasively. Were you planning on teaching him how to play doctor today? He chuckles. No. Suki glares at him as they arrive at the hospital. Well, that's unfortunate for him. I'm sure he'd enjoy it. He's always been rather playful. This is where I leave you, I'm afraid. The silver-haired ninja couldn't resist prodding her one final time before darting off. Suki, you okay? Why do you look like you want to punch someone? Sakura asks in confusion. Our former sensei is getting on my last nerve is all. She mutters and heads into the exam room. Kakashi does like to tease. How is your arm feeling? The pink-haired woman looks at her with concern. I don't feel it much really. The pain meds are really effective. The other woman answers. That's good. How about how it feels psychologically? The medic encourages Suki. Odd. Heavy. I have the urge to just cut it off me. Naruto wouldn't let me though. Feels like my body wants to reject it. The last Uchiha replies truthfully. That's natural. It would have been easier if you didn't wait several years. But it was going to feel at best odd, no matter what. Naruto wouldn't let you, huh? Sakura asks in amusement. I know, and yeah, you know how stubborn he is. Suki shrugs. Yes. Usually you fight him though. Her green-eyed teammate laughs as she looks at Suki's arm. Usually, but 2 arms will prove useful. So no point in arguing over it. She answers. Your chakra pathways are connecting faster than usual. Have you been adding in extra treatments that I should know about? Sakura questions her curiously. Naruto rubs it a lot. He says it stimulates blood flow or something. She admits. It does. It also stimulates chakra flow. Well, it looks good so far. Just keep changing your bandages regularly. You can try to move it a little bit now, but take it easy. It's going to be very painful at first, and don't try to use chakra with that arm yet either. She warns her. I won't. Suki promises. So what's this I hear about an epic love story and a hot training session leading to a proposal? Sakura asks in a way that said, don't even try to bullshit me. You are going to tell me the truth. We decided it would be better to try to make the marriage look real to the public. Helps me assimilate back into village life if they think their hero loves me and vice versa. That and, I'll admit I enjoy fucking with the council's heads after everything. She confesses. I thought so. Who came up with that love story? Sakura giggles. I did. Suki answers. Really? I always thought that Naruto was the romantic of you two. Her teammate looks positively shocked. I can be when I want to be. Besides, I know this village. I know what they want to hear. They all bought it like the suckers they are. Suki smirks at the thought. Speaking of sucking, Sakura just wouldn't stop giggling. Sakura, don't go there. Suki glowers at her friend. What's this about you playing doctor? Obviously, the Pinkett possessed zero survival instincts. Oh, that's it. Suki lunges at her and the two women roll around on the floor in their play fight. Just saying, if you want to restore your clan, he'd probably warm up to the idea a lot faster if you showed him some affection. You can use your mouth for things other than breathing fire. You know that, right? She laughs and tries to dodge Suki's punch. It's disturbing how much you think about the two of us like that. Suki scoffs. We are friends. Friends talk about their boyfriends with each other. Well, in your case, husband. Besides, everyone is curious. You two fight so viciously. So that means your cuddle time has to be pretty amazing. I mean, there is a lot of passion there. Sakura laughs madly. Non-existent. Suki answers her. Really? Sakura blinks in confusion. He's just marrying me to prevent me from going to a show trial. They'd find an excuse to execute me. You know Naruto, he'll always protect me. No matter how stupid it is to do so. Suki continues. And that doesn't tell you anything. The Pinkett smacks her forehead in frustration. That he has a hero complex and he's loyal to the point of stupidity, yes. Yes, it does. Suki nods sagely as if that explained everything. Sakura just shakes her head. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the village, Naruto meets up with Gaara. The blonde asks his friend if he wants to see his new home. Gaara seemed a bit skeptical at first. Are you sure that's a good idea? The Uchiha wouldn't be upset. He questions. I doubt she'll mind. Besides, she's going to be at the hospital for a while. She got her arm replaced and is getting a checkup. The blue-eyed ninja grins at him. Alright, I am curious to see the district, actually. The Cage admits as he follows his friend. Great. Naruto takes the redhead to their home. It's rather large. How big was her clan anyway? The redhead muses. She said a couple hundred people. So Gaara, what would you like? Suki's kinda a health nut. So if you like rabbit food, we have lots of that. Plus I have ramen. Some steaks too. He laughs as if he had just let the other man in on some great secret. Streak sounds good. Gaara replies. Alright. Do you know how to cook? I mean, usually Suki does it. I can make ramen, but that's about it. Naruto blushes in embarrassment. Yes, I can make them. The Uchiha actually cooks. For you. Gaara was clearly shocked. Yeah, I guess she's worried I'll burn the house down or something. She's really good at it too. He says. The Uchiha is a doting housewife. Now I've seen everything. The Cage shakes his head, preparing the meal. The Cage cooking. Now I've seen everything. The blonde taunts him. I deserved that one. So how is it going? Besides the fight with Hinata. A pair of seafoam green eyes stare at Naruto in concern. Well, it's different than I expected. She seems fine with the whole pretending thing. Didn't realize she was such a good actress. Well, I think the journey kinda mellowed her out a bit. Normally, she wouldn't let me touch her if we weren't fighting. But now, well, we've slept together a couple times. He says. Really? How was it? Who topped? I guess that does explain the cat fight. The redhead chuckles. Not like that, you pervert. I mean actual sleep, not the other kind. He exclaims. Naruto, she's going to be your wife. There's really no need to get so flustered about it. Gaara offers. I'm not flustered. He protests. If you say so, my friend. The redhead tries his best not to laugh. I do so say so. The blonde confirms. So you are saying she let you sleep by her? That's unexpected and more affectionate than expected. That's a good sign. So, anything else happen? Gaara looks at him curiously. If I tell you, you won't tell anyone, right? I mean, it's kinda driving me crazy. I have to tell someone about it. If I tell her, she'll Chidori my nuts off. Naruto says. Yes, I could see the Uchiha using that technique for castration. She can be quite vicious. You have my word. Whatever you say to me, will be held in the strictest confidence. Gaara assures him. I kinda saw her in the shower. Naruto admits. And you are still alive. The Kage eyes widen in amazement. She doesn't know that I did. He mumbles. Gaara says. I mean, I don't want to get the hell beaten out of me. I couldn't fight back. I'd deserve it. But she saw me when I was changing. My back was towards her though. So she didn't get the full view like I did. Then she slapped my ass with a pillow and said, nice ass, Uzumaki. But I think she was just trying to mess with me. She does that. The blonde couldn't help but feel by how fast and furious the words were pouring out of his mouth. Yes, she does do that. You're right. It is difficult to tell with her. Without going into details, a simple yes or no will do. Did you find her attractive? The redhead questions. I know it's wrong to look at a friend like that, but yeah. No one can look at Suki and think she isn't beautiful. He says. Gaara rolls his eyes. His friend needed some sense slapped into him. He was just the cage for the job. His sand forms into a human-sized hand and gives the blonde a good smack to the back of the head. Oh, what was that for? He whines. I'm slapping some sense into you. Gaara explains. Geez. The blonde growls. You are going to get married. She's no longer just your friend. She's going to be your wife. It is a good thing to be attracted to your wife. There's no reason to feel guilty. It is not like you intentionally were spying on her. Gaara's sand gets a few more slaps in. Oh, damn it. Gaara, cut that out. Naruto demands. I'll cut it out when the point successfully makes it through your extremely thick skull. The redhead says smoothly, unconcerned about the fact that Naruto looked like he wanted to kill the youngest Kage. Alright, you're right. I shouldn't feel guilty. It's only natural. He trails off. That's better. Gaara says approvingly and he retracts his sand for the moment. Yeah, still if she finds out, I am going to so fucked. And not in a good way. Naruto mutters. The Uchiha has never struck me as a particularly shy woman. It's true that her clothing choices are fairly conservative, but I doubt she's as bashful as say Hinata. She'd likely understand it was just a mistake. Gaara reassures him. Thanks for taking Hinata home, by the way. I feel horrible about all this. She's so nice. I know she liked me. But I just don't, you know. He lets Gaara fill in the blanks. Feel that way about her. I understand. I think she's beginning to understand. You always liked doing things the hard way. So it's not surprising that you would ignore a beautiful woman who would do anything you ask, in favor for a beautiful woman who has nearly killed you multiple times. Honestly, I'm starting to wonder if maybe you aren't just a masochist. The redhead ponders out loud. I am not a mas. Wait, what does that even mean? Naruto asks. Someone who is sexually aroused by pain. The other man smiles at him teasingly. Oh, no, I'm definitely not that, and where do you learn that word from anyway? The blonde demands. Good to know, and Kakashi sent me a copy of one of Jiraiya's books for my birthday. That's where I learned it from. Gaara laughs as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. What's good to know? Naruto, what's Gaara doing here? Suki asks, as she walks through the door. Oh hey, you're back. How'd it go? Never mind. Well, Gaara was visiting and I figured I'd show him where I'm living now. You don't mind, do you? Naruto gulps a bit nervously. Well, he did try to kill me, but in all fairness I gave him a scar and attacked the Cage Summit later on. So I guess we are even. She shrugs casually. I don't have an issue with you, Uchiha. I wanted to thank you for killing Deidara, by the way. He adds as an afterthought. Oh, that's right. He's the one who kidnapped you, wasn't he? Suki says. Yes. Gaara answers with a nod. Something smells good. Didn't know you cooked, Cage. It can't be Naruto's doing. Ramen is the limits of his culinary expertise. She sounds slightly amused. Hey, Naruto protests. It's true and you know it. Suki replies. Yeah, I guess. The blonde grumbles. I'll see you two later. I'm supposed to join my sister and her husband for dinner. The redhead chuckles. I still can't believe Lazy Brows and Tamari are married. Naruto shakes his head in shock. Me neither. How does that even work? Suki tilts her head as though trying to imagine such a thing actually working out. I still haven't figured it out, myself. Gaara nods sagely as he makes a rather hasty exit. So how'd your appointment go? Naruto figures, he might as well try again now that Gaara was gone. Better than expected. Sakura was impressed really. She thinks the rubbing helped stimulate the chakra networks. She smiles. Aha, I told you so. The sapphire-eyed ninja smiles smugly. Suki smiles softly. It was cute. He was so smug about it. The last Uchiha shakes her head in amusement and sits on the couch. You want me to do it again? I mean, since she said it helps. He offers. Yeah. She nods her head and Naruto soon joins her. She lets out a rather undignified squeak when he pulls her into his lap. Naruto laughs. She scowls at him. It's just easier this way. He glides his hand over her arm. I'm not a rag doll. Just because you're bigger doesn't mean you get to throw your weight around. Suki gives him a dirty look. I know you aren't a rag doll. Believe me, I've got the scars to prove it. Naruto continues the gentle massage. Good. She leans back into his hold, closing her eyes in contentment. Naruto looks down at Suki. He couldn't help it. His eyes kept drifting to her neck. It was always such a relief to see the curse mark gone. A growl unconsciously escaped his lips when he thought about it. Naruto. Suki looks at him slightly alarmed. Yeah, he honestly didn't know what was making her look at him that way. You're growling. The look still hadn't gone away, but at least now Naruto knew what had caught her attention so much. Oh, sorry. Just thinking. He probably shouldn't growl at her, if it freaked Suki. About. The brunette questions. The curse mark. Naruto sighs because there really wasn't any point in lying. What about it? It's gone. Suki inquires in confusion. I know. I'm just really glad it's gone. I didn't like seeing it on you. He acted like you were his toy. He growls again. Doesn't matter now. It's gone. She assures him. He didn't know why, but it set him off like nothing else. Even thinking about seeing that mark on his neck made him want to tear something apart. A dark possessiveness rose up in him. For some reason, he suddenly really wanted to lay some sort of claim on her. Something that other people would see. Suki gasps when she feels Naruto's teeth on her neck. He was biting her. It didn't hurt. It was a light bite. The brunette squirmed and tries wiggle out of his lap. Stay. He gives her a warning look. Suki wisely decided to stay put. Maybe Kyuubi was messing with him somehow. Kyuubi was a fox demon. It would explain the biting. Either way, Naruto's teeth were beginning to feel suspiciously sharp. Too sharp. She decided not to move. She didn't want to get a chunk of her neck ripped out. Good girl. He murmurs and begins to alternate placing kisses, licks, and bites along her neck. NHH. Suki arches back into him more, moaning, and tilting her neck to the side. Better. At least you marked her, for a few days anyway. Kyubi practically purrs with approval. I what? Naruto asks. I imagine those love bites will be visible for at least a few days, and it seems that she does enjoy receiving them. Kyubi clarifies. Shit. Damn it. Suki. I'm so sorry. He says. It's okay. It was just necking. She shivers, still remembering the feeling of his hot mouth on her neck. I shouldn't have done that without asking first. I didn't bit you too hard, did I? He asks in concern. Naruto, I lost my arm in the war. I think I can handle a few nips to my neck. Besides, I think you went Kyubi. It's not like you did it on purpose. She reasons, being surprisingly forgiving about all of this. Went Kyubi. He looks at her completely baffled. Sometimes, you act like a fox. I guess we should be grateful you didn't have a slug demon or something. Your teeth will get longer, your eyes change, your fingernails look like claws, and your chakra changes to his. She elaborates. Oh, so you aren't mad. The blonde almost couldn't believe it. No, I'm not mad. Good thing I wear high collars. Suki laughs. That kinda defeats the purpose of marking you. He half hisses in irritation. Sorry, what was that? Suki raises an eyebrow. Nothing. Forget it. So you want any of the steaks Gaara made? He questions. Steak sounds good, she says.